Diabetes is a serious chronic health threat in America. It affects tens of millions of people. Many people who have the disease don't know it. Diabetes can cause health problems such as heart disease, strokes, amputations, and blindness. Talk to your doctor, get screened if you're at risk, and learn how to avoid becoming one of the millions of new cases of diabetes each year. You can help prevent type 2 diabetes. A message from CDC and HHS.
New or used. Visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Updating the match play golf in Austin, Texas. Jordan Spieth, who lost his opener this week, leads currently 3 up through 8 holes. Other winners, completed matches, Sergio Garcia, Matt Kuchar, Dustin Johnson, and Phil Mickelson, who's 2-0 after beating Daniel Berger 5-4. I'm Steve DeSager.
We are Buckmore. It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set, just call me Swanee.
Tiger style. Tiger style.
Clemson Sports Talk has come back to Columbia. Hello, everybody. Lawton Swan back at it once again here. 316 Greystone Boulevard. Fast-paced, action-packed, hurry up, and no-huddle sports talk programming for you. Fox Sports Radio 1400 in the Midlands, heard around the world on the iHeart radio application. Download it today. It is free. The Clemson Sports Talk app also free. Our thoughts, opinions, and more, free as they always are, and we appreciate each and every one of you for being a part of what we do here on Clemson Sports Talk. iHeartRadio is the app. You want to make sure you put your hands on it. We'd love to have you in our chat room over on our website, clemsonsportstalk.com. If you love our work, support our work. We try to make it easy on you. Again, the easiest way to do that is to head over there right now, click on the Support Us tab, and become potentially a nickelbacker. That's $1 a month. Maybe you are somebody who wants to give a little bit more to the show that shakes the Southland. We've got people who give upwards of $63.17. We also have a $56.70 donor. So if you're feeling froggy, jump and come on in and support Clemson Sports Talk. Tonight on the show, Clemson Tom should be set to join us here in a little bit. We've also got an expected visit from our good friend William Qualkenbush at the top of the hour, 7 o'clock. And again, the NCAA Sweet 16 getting underway this evening, 7:09, all of that set to start. So there's a lot going on in the world of sports. LeVar Ball, Lonzo Ball's father, making maybe perhaps the biggest fool of himself that I've ever seen. We've talked about him in previous episodes, but I feel compelled that we maybe not only talk about him, but I think we have a responsibility to point a finger at ESPN, the four-letter network, for the travesty of putting him on the air. That was horrible. I don't know if you saw it, and I don't know if this was something they wanted to do with Stephen A. Smith, but I'm going to tell you, that was disappointing what I watched, and I did watch it because of all the comments that I saw about how absolutely asinine and ludicrous it was, and anybody that thought that was absolutely correct, because when I took a look at the video, I can't even remember what the show is called. It's the one with Max Kellerman and Stephen A. Smith. So I really don't know the name of the program. I know that First Take. There you go, First Take. Ladies and gentlemen, the first take should be the last take for LeVar Ball. And I can't believe that Kellerman or Smith would entertain having him on the program unless somebody else said, look, he's going to be on. We're going to put him on because we think it could be a ratings boom or whatever. It was an embarrassment. And if I was a son, and I am a father, I'm obviously a son as well, that would not be the way I want my dad to go about our business, I guess you would say. But maybe Lamar Ball is correct, and maybe his boys will be the first billionaire brand with Big Baller Brand. We'll see about that. No Lowell the intern tonight. if you're watching the show, of course, I'm on the other side of the room as Lowell, the intern, is trying to get his semi-professional tennis career going. I don't know how the job hunt is going, but he's joined a tennis league. So maybe Lowell's success will come from what he's able to do at 24 years of age at Wimbledon in the next few months. Maybe Lowell will be the underdog at Wimbledon. We'll see how that all plays out for Lowell, the intern, over the next little while as he takes up Thursday night tennis here in the Midlands. Now, the Sweet 16, again, getting set to get started tonight. We talked about it pretty much at length here yesterday on the program. And, again, things kicking off at 7:09 tonight with Oregon taking on Michigan. The Wolverines playing out of their minds right now and with a new life, maybe in more ways than one. As I told you yesterday, I really like the Michigan Wolverines in this game. And then the nightcap there in Kansas City in the Midwest region is going to be Kansas, the Jayhawks, the 1 seed, taking on the Purdue Boilermakers, the 4 seed. That one is going to be entertaining, but I still think that Kansas ends up pulling away late in that game. That's set to start at 9:39. Also tonight, out in San Jose, California, the West Regional, featuring Gonzaga, the 1 seed, taking on West Virginia, the Mountaineers, the 4 seed. That one's set to start 30 minutes after that Oregon-Michigan game, 7:39 p.m. So a couple of games will be underway while we're on the air. We'll do our best to keep you updated. And we will definitely stay in tune with what's going on in the NCAA tournament over the next 24, 48 hours, and then ultimately into next week. Gonzaga, the 1 seed, taking on West Virginia. As I mentioned yesterday, I do not buy into Mark Few. I do not buy in to Gonzaga. Never have, never will. It's one of those things where fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3, 4, 5, 6 times. That is just idiotic on my part. I will not be fooled by Gonzaga. I like Bob Huggins of the West Virginia Mountaineers tonight in that matchup at 7:39. And then finally, the last game of the evening, Arizona Wildcats, the 2 seed, taking on the 11 seed Xavier Musketeers. That's a 10:09 start. So those are your 4 games that are set to get going a little bit later this evening. Now, the folks over at Sports Illustrated did do a re-ranking, or a power ranking, I guess I should say, in terms of the Sweet 16 to give you an idea of who they thought were the big dogs. Now, I still have 3 of my final 4 teams left, and I've still got North Carolina winning it all, but the way the ACC is played in the NCAA tournament, it leaves me wondering if that pick of North Carolina is going to be able to hold firm. But I do think they are a very, very talented team, and they did win the ACC regular season, which is something that I think you have to at least put a check mark in their box for that, because it's the longevity of the season. Duke got hot in the tournament. North Carolina did it for the long haul in the Atlantic Coast Conference slate. But Kansas is the team that Sports Illustrated feels like is the number 1 overall team remaining after Villanova went out. You look at Frank Mason III, who is a tremendous ball player for Kansas, just from his ability to share the basketball and his ability to knock down big shots. He does a really, really good job for the Jayhawks. But they also have Josh Jackson back after he was suspended late in the year. And, of course, they are a team that I think if you go back and look at the recruiting rankings outside of maybe North Carolina and Duke, you're going to be talking about the best of the best in terms of the players that they have on that team. So maybe no surprise there. Actually, the biggest surprise for me was Gonzaga there at number 2. At number 2, Gonzaga, according to Sports Illustrated, and I know they have an incredible record this year, but again, I don't feel like Gonzaga plays the schedule that everybody else plays. And I know that they've done a good job in recent years scheduling big-time opponents out of conference because they understand, and I think they recognize the value of getting out there on the floor and challenging power conference opponents and getting a measuring stick for yourself. I get it. I respect it. But I don't think that they have gone through the gauntlet that everybody else has in terms of their season. And we'll see. They did not, as I mentioned yesterday, they have not overwhelmed me with how great they are. If anything, they've underwhelmed me, and it's really made me question them. So to see them ahead of North Carolina was a bit of a shock for me, and maybe perhaps even more so Kentucky as well. But North Carolina, number 3, according to this. Again, North Carolina, one thing you got to give them credit for is while many schools like Duke and Kentucky have to consistently reload to try to get brand new talent in, while North Carolina deals with some of that, they've done a better job in keeping guys there. They've done a better job of building a core group of upperclassmen who are supremely talented and also, I think, carry it between their ears better than a lot of these rookie monsters that come into the NCAA tournament, have that one-and-done game right in their sights and just get caught up in the moment, get caught up in the fact that, hey, we got Duke on our chest, we've got to deliver, and they get so focused on that they can't, they just can't get it back to good, so to speak. And then all of a sudden the mounting pressure as the game gets tighter, the score gets maybe a little bit more separated and the clock dwindles down, all of that continues to compound itself. The one thing you've seen out of North Carolina is the fact that, you know what, even when maybe their backs were against the wall against Arkansas, they found a way to recover. They found a way to rejuvenate themselves in the midst of a ball game and close out and win. So North Carolina is the number 3 rated team according to SI's re-ranking. Kentucky comes in at number 4, and oddly enough, for the Kentucky Wildcats, as good as they have been under Coach John Calipari, sadly, with all the success, they've been one of those teams that have underwhelmed in the NCAA tournament. Could this be a year, though, where the Wildcats, even though many people see them as one of the best in America, and they are certainly talented, I think they've flown a little bit under the radar this year by comparison to some other teams like North Carolina, Duke, Kansas, and maybe even for some pundits out there, Gonzaga. But could this be the year where Calipari gets it together and maybe shocks the world a little bit, unlike before where he's kind of been the favorite going in, and the biggest shock is when they don't win it. So you kind of flip the script a little bit here for the Kentucky Wildcats. 5th out of the 16, UCLA. And we're going to talk a lot about LeVar Ball coming up here in a little bit, but if you haven't had a chance to watch his son Lonzo at point guard for UCLA, take some time this weekend and at least get a piece of the action of UCLA. They play tomorrow night at 9:39 against Kentucky. So if you get a chance after the South Carolina Gamecocks and Baylor Bears go off, I think you want to invest in that one simply because you get a chance to see a supremely talented Kentucky team and maybe one of the best young stars in college basketball. I don't have to like LeVar Ball at all, but I can tell you his son Lonzo is a BALLER baller on the court. And the thing, too, he's not selfish. He's got that Jason Kidd-esque style, I would say, the ability to break somebody down off of the dribble, hits big shots. You know, he wants to be that scoring point guard. He wants to be that guy that's picking up great assists, electrifying the crowd, plays good defense, can get out in transition. He's a heck of an athlete defensively on both ends of the – defensively, I was about to say on both ends of the floor, but I really meant in both aspects of the game, from getting steals to blocking shots and just being that all-around basketball player that so few teams have. That's exactly what he can be for this UCLA team. And then, of course, with Steve Alford's son there, who's one of the leading three-point shooters all time in the history of that program, he's got some knockdown shooters around him, and I think they have a lot of fun. 6 surprised me. They had Baylor there. Arizona was 7th. West Virginia was 8th in the re-rank, and 9th were the Oregon Ducks, followed by, wait for it, the Wisconsin Badgers, a team that plays so sound defense that I think so many people look at where you are now in the NCAA tournament and they say, hey, if you can guard, if you can shut people down, if you can bring it on the defensive end of the floor and have just superb intensity, and tip your cap to yourselves, Gamecock Nation, because that's the way that you've managed to get through Marquette and Duke. It wasn't necessarily with the incredible second-half efforts that you had in both of those games, but but I think more so the 40 minutes of sound defense that you played and gave yourself a chance and didn't allow a team like Duke to pull away from you in the first half of that game when South Carolina couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. I mean, when you look at the stats at the half, it was incredible that Carolina had kept that thing reasonable. And to be honest with you, nobody would have anticipated a 65-point outburst in the second half by the Gamecocks. But look, Wisconsin is one of those teams that plays maybe as fundamentally plays as well fundamentally defensively as anybody in the country. Number 11, Purdue, the Boilermakers, the 4 seed out in the Midwest, coming in at 11-12 are the Florida Gators right there. 13th, Butler Bulldogs, Michigan 14th. The Gamecocks from South Carolina, the 15th seed in the re-ranking of the NCAA tournament. And finally, Xavier is last. They are an 11 seed right now. So South Carolina, if you look at it, nobody's buying into you. But if you go back a week, nobody was buying into you then either. And a lot of people, I'm talking millions of people, weren't buying into you getting past the Duke Blue Devils. But you know what you did? You hunkered down. You got it done. And now you've advanced into the Sweet 16 with 2 wins. You'd be sitting there in the Final Four. And then all bets are off for Gamecock Nation. So it is going to be an interesting weekend. And it all begins tonight as basketball is back. The NCAA tournament, 7:39, Gonzaga, West Virginia. 7:09. No, that's right. Okay, I had the wrong day up. 7:09 tonight, Oregon, Michigan. And then 7:39, Gonzaga, West Virginia. 9:39, Kansas and Purdue. 10:09, Arizona and Xavier. Now, Friday, I'm going to be out low the intern, Jordan Roper. Those 2 guys will be in, and they'll be talking about the NCAA tournament, recapping what happens tonight for you. I guarantee you that. But at 7:09 on Friday, it'll be North Carolina, the 1 seed, taking on Butler, the 4 seed. Then about 20 minutes later, it'll be Baylor, the 3 seed, taking on the Gamecocks, who are the 7 seed, up at Madison Square Garden. Then at 9:39, it'll be the Wildcats of Kentucky, the 2 seed, taking on UCLA. Talk about a matchup of epic and historic proportions. Kentucky and UCLA. And think about Butler, who has played spoiler in so many NCAA tournaments in recent years. How about the Butler Bulldogs, who are taking on North Carolina? Could they trip up North Carolina, then beat one of UCLA or Connecticut and get back, UCLA or Kentucky, and get back to the Final Four? Keep your eye on that one. The final game, though, of the evening's in the East region at 9:59. It'll be Florida, the 4 seed, taking on the Wisconsin Badgers. So the Gamecocks and the Gators, both from the SEC in the East region, playing tomorrow at 7:29 and 9:59. The winner will move on to the Elite Eight. Can the Gamecocks take down the Baylor Bears? Can the Gators take down the Badgers? And will a couple of SEC schools rematch and play once again in the NCAA tournament? That's yet to be determined, but we are headed towards the Final Four this weekend, the Sweet 16 getting underway. An exciting time for those of you who are in the NCAA tournament. And again, we're going to talk about LeVar Ball coming up a little bit later. We're going to talk about Brad Brownell and the situation at Clemson. We got Clemson Tom coming on the line with us here momentarily, because Dan Radakovich, if you didn't hear this, he sat down and talked about the meeting with he and Brad Brownell. He addressed the Will Wade rumors. So there's a whole lot to all of that. We're going to dive in to that and much more here on Clemson Sports Talk. And get this a little bit later, William Qualkenbush in Hour 2. Plus, Bucs wide receiver Adam Humphries in the news for something good. We'll tell you what that is. And this is one I've been rolling over a couple of days. For whatever reason, I haven't been able to get to it. I said tonight on the Thursday edition of the show, my final episode of the week, as Lowell the intern and Jordan Roper will be in studio tomorrow, that I was absolutely going to dive into this topic on Adam Humphries. But when we return, we'll be joined by none other than Clemson Tom. Follow him on Twitter at Clemson Tom. Stay with us.
Hi, my name is Donald Kidwell, current owner of CrossFit Iron Mary's. After finding CrossFit in 2012, I lost 128 pounds. At CrossFit Iron Mary's, you're not a barcode, you're an actual person. Where you are now is not important. Where you want to be is. 3 locations to reach your fitness goals in Columbia: the Old Mill in Lexington, Trotter Road in West Columbia, and downtown near the Carolina Baseball Stadium. Check us out online at CrossFitIronMarys.com or give us a call at 803-414-9601. Set up your first set of free classes today at CrossFit Iron Mary's, 803-414-9601.
When a stroke happens, every second counts. So don't drive and call 911 to get to the emergency department as soon as possible. At Lexington Medical Center, we're pleased to serve our community. As a certified primary stroke center, our acute stroke team rapidly evaluates patients and provides them with the fastest treatment possible. This specialized care limits the chance of brain damage and gives stroke patients a better chance of full recovery. Act quickly at the first sign of a stroke and count on the Stroke Center at Lexington Medical Center to provide you with the best possible care.
And here's another 5-star review for Scott's Auto Repair from Pam in Columbia.
When I dropped my car off, Freddie said he'd take care of me, and that he did. He made sure my car was safe, functional, and clean. I live downtown, and they're so convenient. Thanks, Scott and Freddie, for doing such a great job. I will be back.
So trust the professionals at Scott's Auto with one of the best warranties for parts and labor. 3 years or 36,000 miles coast to coast. Visit scottsautosc.com or call 926-2247. For cars, truck, and fleet, service you can't beat at Scott's Auto. See Scott's Auto for more details.
Nissan of Orangeburg has some exciting news. We're expanding our savings to Sumter. That's right, the savings and deals you've come to expect in Orangeburg are now in Sumter too. So before you sign a lease at one of those big city dealerships, come see us today in Sumter at our new location on 1260 Broad Street or at Nissan of Orangeburg, exit 145A off I-26. As always, we'll pay off your trade no matter how much you owe and lower your monthly payment.
Go to NissanofOrangeburg.com or NissanSumterSC.com.
Doing business the easy way.
See dealer for details.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show now at 978-1832 or text 803-450-0086.
Weeknight, 6 to 8 p.m. iHeart Radio, Fox Sports Radio. Lawton Swan, no Lowell the intern tonight, but that's okay. He's coming in a little later to cut up the podcast. We hope that he's been doing well for you on that front. David D, I see over on Facebook, says that not only are the roads in South Carolina bad, but there's obviously a severe shortage of blinker fluid as well. Listen, people, don't, I know gas. I know how important that is to getting around. Please keep your blinker fluid full. It just makes things so much easier. A man that knows all about that, he lives in a city like Orlando. He's got to drive around, and I guarantee you his blinker fluid is at 100% right now. He is Clemson Tom. Tom, what's up?
Hey, brother, I drive a hazard zone 24/7. I'm letting everybody know I'm coming with it, no matter how fast I'm coming.
Yeah, that uses a lot of blinker fluid, though, so you got to be careful. That stuff's expensive.
Nah, man, I know a guy. That's all. As soon as you have a guy that can get you the stuff on the DL, then you're fine.
Right.
So that's it.
Clemson Tom joining us here on the program. Last weekend, he was on vacay. He and the wife made their way down to the Bahamas for a nice little getaway. I got to ask you, Tom, how was it?
It was pretty daggum cool. We had Vince Wilfork playing blackjack with us. He's just as big as in person as he is on TV.
I believe that.
And I can't remember the Steelers wide receiver that was at the pool with us, but it was kind of cool to see those guys out there. But we just had a blast, man. Just kind of relaxed in the sun, did some snorkeling, and just hung out, man. It was great.
I was watching something on TV a while back, and they had Vince Wilfork out there with some of his family members and stuff playing some basketball. Surprisingly agile for a big guy. Did you happen to challenge him to a game of one-on-one?
Absolutely not, man. Let me say something to you. He's big. Think Dexter Lawrence and then make him two. Like, he's that big of an individual. Like, I'm not challenging him to anything, not even a game of checkers. He's scary big. And he's too quick. You cannot be that big and that quick. It should be illegal.
Clemson Tom on Clemson Sports Talk tonight. Tom, the South Carolina Gamecocks have made it into the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament, a place the Clemson Tigers haven't been in 20 years, since 1997. Your thoughts on what Frank Martin and the Gamecocks have done so far this season?
Man, first off, you gotta applaud them. I mean, I just like them more than anything. I couldn't even watch them play Duke because I hate Duke with a passion.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you got to give them an applause. But at the same time, them Gamecocks need to tone it down. They still got some games to play. I mean, they still got Baylor coming up. I mean, they're acting like they already won. The players are jumping on to the final game. You got some more games. You got to tone it down a little bit. But I've always liked Frank Martin as a coach. His intensity, obviously, starting to translate a little bit. I mean, you got to remember, just a few years ago, they were kind of wanting Frank to get fired. So now all of a sudden, all these basketball fans come out of the woodwork, but they can't really blame them. They finally have something to cheer. So you almost feel bad for them, because now they finally have a sport they can be with. They can come together. The flags are flying again. So, kudos to those guys. I didn't realize I had this many basketball fans until this past week.
You make a good point about the flags flying, because I will admit I did see the Gamecock Nation pull out the flags after they got into the Sweet 16 in the NCAA tournament. And, the women's team also in the NCAA tournament, I think it's the South Carolina Gamecocks, Baylor, and Oregon, who have 3 teams remaining in both tournaments. Do you buy into, I've got some Gamecock buddies who joke with me that South Carolina is a basketball school now. Is that the case?
Well, they've been a women's basketball school for years.
Yeah.
I mean, this is nothing new with Coach Staley over there. I mean, she's doing great things. Yeah, she gets them there, but she can never beat UConn. But then again, I don't know many men's team that can probably beat the women's UConn team. But they've been a basketball school for a while. They're a bass fishing school. They ride the little horses out there, whatever sport that's called. They've been that kind of a school.
Equestrian.
Maybe they are going to be I wouldn't necessarily call them a basketball school. Maybe like a miscellaneous school, because they got bass fishing. They ride their horses real good. Basketball's like a miscellaneous school. Like, what are you guys good at? Badminton's coming up. We ride our horses real good. Like a miscellaneous school. Like, you don't really know what they're good at. They're kind of good at all these little things.
Clemson, Tom, a quick question for you in terms of South Carolina and their basketball program. Do you think they can get to the Final Four?
Man, I don't know. Actually, truth be told, I got them beating Baylor. I think they match up really well with Baylor. So I do have them beating Baylor, which would put them in the Elite Eight. I don't know who's the winner out of the other game that would play the winner out of South Carolina Baylor, do you know?
If South Carolina wins, they would play the winner of Wisconsin and Florida.
Oh, no, they're not going to the Final Four. No, I don't see a Baylor in the Final Four. But, it's March Madness for a reason. Who knows? I've been wrong before.
Tom, were you frustrated by the fact that Brad Brownell was brought back for another year at Clemson?
Not really. People wanted Tom Crean out of Indiana because it was an upgrade. But just because it's an upgrade doesn't quite mean you make the upgrade, because, in my opinion, Tom Crean wasn't that great of an upgrade.
Okay.
You go from a 1972 Pinto and you want to get like a 1992 Civic because he went to the Final Four a few times, and he hasn't really done much after all that. Like, what do you say to that? And you got Will Wade, who's not quite there, in my opinion, even though he's going to go to LSU. But, I mean, there's nobody out there that's going to make a huge hire. I mean, if you're going to let go of Brad, you've got to have a home run hire.
Right.
I mean, look what we did in baseball. Let go of Leggett, and look what we got. We got Monty Lee, first season in, wins the ACC. I mean, I think we're going to go to Omaha this year, just how the team's starting to rock and roll. I mean, Monty's got them playing at an all-time high. We haven't looked this good in years. So for basketball, I'm all right with bringing him back, but you have to make a home run hire. You can't just let him go and pick up some guy just because. You can't, you can't break up with your girlfriend and be single. You better have a backup plan. It should better be a 10. That's how I feel about basketball.
Clemson Tom on Twitter's at Clemson Tom. He joins us each and every Thursday evening at 6:20. Tom, how familiar are you with LeVar Ball?
Not very, but apparently he's out there just trolling some people. He said some things about LeBron.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand what he's doing, but I'm starting to notice. The day I was eating lunch and they had the TV on ESPN, he's constantly on TV now, and he's rocking his new apparel line.
Yeah.
Maybe this is like a ploy for him to get on TV and wear his T-shirts.
Are you the LeVar Ball of social media?
No, because LeVar is just talking trash, man. Usually when I talk trash, I got like facts to back it up. And that's kind of the thing, because people are like, you're trolling. I'm like, I'm not trolling. I just stated a fact. I'll put a stat out there, and people are like, quit trolling, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's a fact right there. But I will troll a little bit, but I'm not LeVar Bell at all.
Tom,
absolutely not.
Yeah, one final question for you. We'll get you out of here tonight. Dabo Swinney was asked, not necessarily about if Clemson will take any step backs, but that basically he knows that question is coming at some point. He doesn't expect the Tigers to take a step back. We got about a minute. Your thoughts on the 2017 Clemson Tiger football team?
Defense is going to be – it's not going to take a step back at all defensively. Offensively, though, we are replacing a legend. We're replacing a great quarterback in Deshaun Watson. Those quarterbacks have got to step up. Whoever quarterback is going to have is going to have a good offensive line.
Right.
They're going to have good running backs. And I don't even want to talk about the receivers because they're scary good. Will we repeat? I don't think so. Will we take a step back? Sometimes you got to take two to go three. So, yeah, we'll probably lose 2 games this year. Will it be a step back? No, you just have inexperience at the quarterback position. That's the most important position. But you're not taking a step back. No, I will not say that at all.
Tom, appreciate it, man. If you're interested in seeing Tim Tebow play some minor league baseball, come on up and enjoy a Columbia Fireflies game with us.
The ESPN announcer?
Yeah, Tim Tebow. He's playing baseball here in Columbia for the Fireflies, our local pro team, semi-pro team.
They must be hurting for tickets because I didn't know ESPN announcers could play baseball. But hey, you never know.
All right, Tom, be good, man.
All right, brother.
Appreciate it. Follow Clemson Tom on Twitter at Clemson Tom, 803-978-1832. When we get back here on Clemson Sports Talk, I'm going to update you on an incredible story about Adam Humphries, plus Deshaun Watson back in the news. All that and more. Stay with us.
Are you a business owner looking to add high-quality staff members? ProRecruits.net is the answer. Here's why ProRecruits.net is better than their competition. ProRecruits.net will guarantee their sales hires for 6 months, or they will replace them for free. ProRecruits.net is also locally owned and has lower pricing compared to the typical new hire contingency fees in the industry. ProRecruits.net offers a tremendous value for your recruiting dollars. Call Chris today at 704-737-9970 and let ProRecruits.net help your business grow.
When it's time for a new roof, choose a local South Carolina contractor. Choose Mayhem Roofing. Hi, it's Gary David. Mayhem Roofing at 855-GO-MAYHEM are the local pros who will be out in a hurry and assessing the problems with your roof you have right now. If it's a repair that's needed, they can handle that for you and work with your insurance company. If it's a whole new roof, you will love the service you get and the quality of workmanship you get from Mayhem Roofing. Make the call to 855-GO-MAYHEM. That's 855-GO-MAYHEM, or check out their website, mayhemroofing.com. That's mayhemroofing.com.
Looking to get away without having to spend a whole day traveling to your destination? Ocean Reef Resort offers 1, 2, 3, and 4-bedroom accommodations with the comforts of home and boasts the best oceanfront views. Swim in their sparkling indoor and outdoor pools, relax in their hot tubs, try out the Adventure Oasis pool with adult-sized water slide, or just float down the 250-foot lazy river. Visit us at oceanreefmyrtlebeach.com or call us at 1-866-935-0530 to learn more.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman-Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat & Place, just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meat & Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
From Exergen Temporal Scanner Thermometer, mostly clear overnight tonight, and the lows dipping down to the low to mid-40s. Tomorrow, a good bit of sunshine and comfortable. Highs right around 70. For Channel 25 ABC Columbia, I'm Chief Meteorologist John Farley.
This report is brought to you by your local Food Lion.
Score big savings at Food Lion now through April 11th. Get 25 cents back when you purchase items from Food Lion's family of private brands with your MVP card. Up to $10 off your next shopping trip. Score savings on everything you need for the games. See store for details. Food Lion. How refreshing.
iHeartRadio does something no other app or website can do. Thousands of live radio stations you can take anywhere. Want to listen to that station in Denver, but you're in Philly? No problem. In Austin, but you miss Seattle? No problem. Plus, iHeartRadio lets you create your own custom artist stations.
James from Metallica here. It's iHeartRadio.
Just type in the artist you love, and iHeartRadio creates a station just for you. Free radio and unlimited music all in one app. iHeartRadio.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
Weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. This is why it's hot in the Midlands. Fox Sports Radio 1400, the iHeart Radio app. Lawton Swan, host of Clemson Sports Talk here, the show that shakes the Southland. In the belly of the beast, Deshaun Watson on Gruden's quarterback camp. Watched a little bit of that today. Going to try to dive in and see the entire episode. I think Gruden does a really, really good job with those guys, and you get an inside scoop and an inside look at some of the best players in college football at the quarterback spot. So Watson, who is as, I think, poised as any player I've ever seen under duress, I think that he is the consummate winner. He has that thing you just can't put your finger on that makes him a winner. I don't know where it comes from, a drive and a determination that is rare. It is absolutely rare. And so I'm not telling you I think that Deshaun Watson should be the number one pick in the NFL draft. I don't believe that, but I think you are passing up on a very good football player and a franchise quarterback. And I'll be honest with you, if he's not better than a guy like Jameis Winston, if he doesn't have a comparable career perhaps to a guy like Cam Newton at this point, I'd be a little bit surprised. I know Newton's got size on him, but Watson, to me, one of the best downfield passers we've seen in college football in recent memory, and we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out, but I got a feeling, man, that this kid's destined to have a career that is one that is a bit mind-blowing for some people because he's been so good and so consistent at Clemson. I think there are people there in the NFL that don't believe that he's going to be able to pull it off at the professional level, and I would disagree. I would give my franchise to that kid in a moment's notice, and if I'm wrong and we're in the tank in 5 years because of my bad pick, then oh well, put me out the door. Put me out the door. Staying with, though, the NFL theme for a minute here, a unique situation happened with Adam Humphries a little while back, and his number, of course, Humphries plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they brought in Deshaun Jackson. Well, Deshaun Jackson wanted to wear number 11. Now, typically the way this plays out in the NFL is that a player who has the stature of a Deshaun Jackson or a player that has the financial means or has a lot of money in the bank or whatever comes into your franchise and wants to wear a number that's already on the back of a player. He's got a choice. Either A, he gets a different number, or B, traditionally there is a negotiation, and guys in the past have bought their jersey number, and sometimes they have paid a fairly hefty amount for it to another player on the team because, well, those guys have money and they've got money to burn. Deshaun Jackson signed a 3-year, $35 million deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he wanted to wear his jersey number 11. Since Humphries already wore the number for his first couple of years in Tampa, he agreed to give it to Deshaun Jackson, but with a condition. Humphries wanted money for it. No, not the stingy, greedy, hey, I want to have money type thing, but the, hey, why don't we make a donation to a children's charity in Tampa? a children's charity in Tampa. So that's exactly what happened. Humphreys gave up the number. Deshaun Jackson pledged to make a donation to the children's charity in Tampa. And Humphreys is also going to make a similar donation to his hometown up in Spartanburg. The Dorman High School graduate going to have a little give back as well. So Humphreys said, I wanted him to do something for our community. When you come in to a new city, he's a new member of the Tampa Bay area. Adam Humphreys thought it would be good for Deshaun Jackson to get involved in some way. Though he said the money wasn't a big deal, but he wanted to do something to help out, and there was a pretty good little fun there between teammates. So Adam Humphreys, a unique story where a lot of guys take the money. Humphreys says, yeah, you know what? You know what, Mr. Jackson? You want my number? You gotta fork up some cash. But not to me, to a children's home, to a children's benefit here in Tampa. And so that's what he did. 803-978-1832, your number. You can text us thanks to our friends at the Ocean Reef Resort, 803-450-0086, 803-450-0086. Again, Deshaun Watson, Gruden's quarterback camp. Some of the things that those two guys talked about, had a little chance to watch some of it. Haven't been able to watch it all yet, but they talked about Watson and his giving back to the community and Habitat for Humanity and the story behind why he is so involved with that charity and why he wants to continue to be so involved in that charity, and the story about the fact that Warwick Dunn had been a part of helping Deshaun Watson and Deshaun Watson's family, and now Watson had a chance to give back in much the same way. So this is an interesting time if you were a Clemson Tiger fan who probably has never tuned in to watch Gruden's quarterback camp, or maybe you were somebody who doesn't find a ton of interest in the NFL. Maybe a guy like Deshaun Watson will be the catalyst to your interest in the future success of a Clemson Tiger football player, because in all honesty, as good as C.J. Spiller was, as good as Sammy Watkins was, as good as Shaq Lawson was, or Andre Ellington, or Nuke Hopkins. I mean, you could go on and on in terms of how good those guys were at Clemson. You've never, in my lifetime, had a legitimate NFL quarterback come out of Clemson. Now, you can talk about the longevity of the career of Charlie Whitehurst in the NFL, but you really would have to go back even further to Steve Fuller to find the guy who, maybe got some playing time worth noting. Here's a young man in Deshaun Watson that, depending on where he ends up, may start his rookie year. He may also be a backup for a couple of seasons and then move into that starting role, depending on where he signs. But you will have I would say, franchise face from Clemson at the NFL level. And that's different. That's different. Because all of a sudden, it's the guy who's got the ball in his hand every single play. You might love Sammy Watkins. You might love C.J. Spiller. But you can watch a game when those guys are on the field, or even the Nuke Hopkins, and they might get the ball 8-9 times a game. The quarterback, a guy like Deshaun Watson, gets the ball virtually every single snap of the game. And for the interest of a fan base who may be not overly impressed with the NFL product, to have a guy like Watson heading to the NFL, I think the intrigue and the interest from Clemson Tiger Nation is going to be through the roof. Now, ESPN perhaps thinks that your interest is going to be through the roof to see and hear from LeVar Ball. We'll talk about his segment on First Take with Stephen A. Smith when we get back here on Clemson Sports Talk. I thought it was atrocious. Stay with us.
Love it raw? For the freshest sushi in town, Sakatumi Grill and Sushi Bar, 807 Gervais Street in the Vista. Sakatumi's flavorful grill for non-sushi fans features the Kobe burger, filet and lobster, chicken hibachi, and more. Fresh sushi, flavorful grill, Sakatumi Grill and Sushi Bar, sakifresh.com.
You gonna eat get your cornbread.
Oh, absolutely. But you don't have to have any of my cornbread, but you can get all the cornbread you can eat at this year's South Carolina's famous Cornbread Fest with events like the Cornhole Tournament, the Petting Zoo, the Car and Bike Show with more to come. And it's all hosted by me, your man, comedian Timmy Tim. It's happening April 22nd at Earlwood Park.
Do you need lodging for your next Tigers game? To get a real game day experience, skip the hotel and stay close to campus in one of Rent Like a Champion's comfortable vacation homes. You can call Rent Like a Champion, a Mark Cuban company featured on ABC's Shark Tank, at 855-BIG-GAME to set up your weekend lodging today.
Need custom shirts, hats, or uniforms? How about promotional giveaways for your business or organization? Need fast turnaround times? Look no further than Meridian Printing and Promotions. Located in Lexington, they provide an in-house art department, in-house screen printing, and in-house embroidery services to the Midlands and beyond. For the absolute best quality products and services, contact Meridian Printing and Promotions, 785-4990. Check them out online, mbspromo.com.
At Mattress Firm, we admit we have lots of sales, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity so big, even we're impressed. Save up to 70% off famous name brands. Plus, take up to $2,000 off floor models from Sealy, Tempur-Pedic, and others. Everything must go to make room for the next generation of sleep products. So don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to sleep and save like never before. Only at Mattress Firm. For offer details, visit mattressfirm.com/circulars. Product offer and prices may vary in Hawaii.
Our customers receive the best heating and air conditioning service in South Carolina. Hi, I'm Tim Mosley, and I can make that statement because that's what our customers tell us every day. We call it quality confirmed. Call us at 803-233-7172, and we'll call you when the job is done to confirm we met your expectations. That's quality confirmed. We're Carolina Conditions, and we're committed to meeting your expectations. 803-233-7172. Call us at 803-233-7172.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk. Join the show in the chat room at clemsonsportstalk.com.
Clemson Sports Talk, no Americano bumping in the background. Lawton Swan in the foreground. No Lowell, the intern. He's working on the forehand in his little semi-pro tennis league that he plays in here in town. 803-978-1832 is the number. 803-978-1832. The hashtag on Twitter, CST Show. Follow the program at Clemson Sports. Again, that's Clemson news, notes, information, and more. 24 hours a day. 7 days a week. So, talked about Deshaun Watson just a little bit ago, and during the break, I decided to step out and just walk for a minute. And I wanted to say something to my friends who have Apple Watches. A couple of things. One, I want to make sure everybody who listens to this show has the Clemson Sports Talk app because we send breaking news notifications to you. I mean, we do, and if you have the app, and you have an Apple Watch, man, they come right to your phone. So it's perfect. If something big happens, we do our best to send it to you as quickly as we know about it. Now, I can tell you, I am not always in front of a computer, and I have to be in front of a computer to send those out. So there is that one little hitch in the giddy-up. But number two, if you have an Apple Watch and you're like me, you're a guy who had a Fitbit at one point, and you were tracking your steps, and you got the Apple Watch, and all of a sudden it just wasn't the same, I guess, in respects of your fitness, the fitness aspect of the watch. For whatever reason, they don't have a great way for you to see on the watch how many steps you've taken. Check out Pedometer Plus Plus. That'll let you put it right there on the face so you can look down at your wrist and see how many steps you've taken. It has improved, I mean, my step count tremendously just doing that here recently. I'm trying to hit my 10,000 steps a day minimum, and they've got streaks and all kinds of stuff. Pedometer plus. I just want to help you out. I want you to be healthier. I want you to enjoy your time walking around, whether you're listening to this show, whether you're working in the yard. But, again, try to hit that 10,000 step mark each and every day if you can. 803-978-1832. I about hit that 10,000 step mark running away from my phone earlier today because I saw a post on the Big Lead that talked about LeVar Ball. And if you don't know LeVar Ball, his son Lonzo Ball, the star point guard for UCLA. He's got a son who scored 100 points in a high school game. Got a couple of boys still in high school that, they feel like are going to be really good basketball players at some point in their career, and maybe all three of them end up in the NBA. Who knows? I mean, way too early to tell for sure, but you could tell Lonzo Ball, his son who's at UCLA, is going to end up in the NBA because he is the real deal, a tremendous player. But, I mean, he's not LeBron James. He's not Steph Curry. LeVar Ball previously said that he could beat Michael Jordan, and there gets to a point where perhaps somebody is just so out of bounds, just so idiotic that you have to watch. And I kind of think that's where LeVar Ball has put himself at this point.
Did you eat a lot of paint chips when you were a kid? Why?
Yeah, I mean, that's the feeling. That's the feeling you get when you listen to this guy. And so he's on with Stephen A. Smith on First Take with Max Kellerman. And, of course, Stephen A. Smith, who some people would call the best in the business in terms of sports broadcasters. I don't know. He's a little over the top for me. I mean, if you're going to ask me who's the best in the business right now at what we do in terms of standing behind a microphone for a couple of hours and talking and interviewing and doing all that, for me, it's probably Mark Packer. Pac-Man is incredible on Sirius XM. I think Cowherd is strong here on Fox Sports Radio. I think, honestly, Clay Travis is probably pushing the envelope and maybe surpassing Dan Patrick right now in terms of the show that he's putting on a day-to-day basis. Now, again, I excluded myself from the top of that list in fairness to my colleagues here in the sports radio business, but LeVar Ball is completely over the top, much like Stephen A. Smith, and these two guys were going back and forth, and so much so that LeVar Ball really couldn't keep a straight face, which I began to struggle with. Was this really about LeVar Ball coming on to be able to talk about his sons and their future and how they play, or was this about ESPN going, I think, Jerry Springer style in some respects, going with the Jerry Springer mindset or the Maury Povich approach and saying, okay, who are the most insane people that we can throw on the television? Let's bring them in. Let's have them say completely over the top and overblown and ludicrous, ridiculous, whatever phrase you want to put on it, say these things on the air and try to keep a straight face about it. So much so to the point I found myself going, get after him, Stephen A. And I don't even like Stephen A. Smith. I'm like, God, you got to take this guy to task. He's a complete idiot. So, I will spare you by saying this, that you shouldn't watch it because it is so bad, so over the top, so overblown, so idiotic. I will also say, though, that I think if you don't miss it, if you don't watch it, I think you are missing out on just this incredible moment between a dad who has he's obviously trying too hard to perhaps sell his son or his sons and their brand. Listen, you got to watch it. I'm taking that back. You got to watch it. I'm taking back my don't watch it. You have to watch it because, if this doesn't send up red flag alerts and warning signs about drinking.
You fellas been doing a bit of boozing, have you? Sucking back on Grandpa's old cough medicine?
Recreational drugs or something. This guy, LeVar Ball, he thinks he could beat Jordan. in a game of one-on-one. He still believes he could beat Jordan in one-on-one when they were in college in their prime. He said his son is better than Steph Curry. That if Curry played for UCLA, he would shoot him out of games, and if Lonzo played for Golden State, they'd be better. Yeah, that's what his dad said with a straight face. And he yells. It's almost WWE gimmicky. It felt like I was listening to Mean Gene Okerlund interviewing Macho Man Randy Savage back in the day. Ooh, yeah, your stars got a line. Yeah, you know. I mean, it was so weird. So weird. 803-978-1832 if you want to be a part of the program. If you got comments on LeVar Ball and the idiocy that he spewed, and put forth on ESPN earlier today, let me know. Craig chiming into the program via the Ocean Reef Resort text line. He says, Swanee, the iHeart Radio app has become a pain, making me log in every day, and ads run before I can listen. I'll look into it, Craig. I don't think you have to log in every day. I mean, maybe they've changed it. I don't know that when I listen on the iHeart Radio app that I have to log into it, because there's so many great shows, so many places in the world you can listen. That's the beauty of being on the iHeart Radio app. I will double check that. Now, the ads, on the other hand, I don't think I can do anything really about that. They got to eat too. We all got to eat. So I guess that's how that works. I just have to look into it myself. But, you know, I listened to Clay Travis's show the other day on the iHeartRadio app, and I didn't get an ad before the show. So during this break, I'll try to tune in, and I'll see if I'm seeing the same things. And I didn't have to log in either. So maybe there's something with that, too, that's causing those issues. I'll check into it as best I can. Stay with us. Hour 2 on the flip side. We'll have William Qualkenbush with us.
Lawton Swan here. And I know in sports we're always talking about the big guy. Well, let me tell you, when you're buying a car, you don't need that. What you need to do is head down to Orangeburg to my good friends at Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac. 4 generations of family-owned business right there at Ferry Chevrolet. No dock fees, no tricks, straightforward pricing in a low-pressure environment you'll love. Check them out online, ferrychevrolet.com, or call them 803-536-1600. It's Ferry Chevrolet Cadillac, just a short 30-minute drive off of exit 145A in Orangeburg. Attention, Tiger Nation. Listen up for a new way to show your support for the Clemson Tigers and support a great charity. SOS is once again sponsoring Print Bowl 2016. This campaign pits the Tigers against the Gamecocks to raise money for a great charity. This year, the Clemson Tiger fans will support the Live Big Foundation, and they are counting on Tiger Nation to show their support by visiting printbowl.com. While there, make sure to enter their monthly drawing for a free printer emblazoned with the Clemson Tiger logo. Learn more at printbowl.com.
Attention, anyone who's suffering from lower back pain. Right now, HealthSource is offering our listeners an absolutely free back pain consultation on a first-come, first-served basis by calling 803-218-9047. Our doctors can find the root cause of your lower back pain and show you how to get well fast and stay well longer. No more pain. No more feeling worn out. Essentially, no more not feeling like yourself. Call 803-218-9047.
Every day, Fast Signs helps businesses with their visual communications needs. Fast Signs is committed to raising your visibility and building your trust. They bring new ideas and help you develop your business. They ask the right questions in order to make your facility safe and more efficient. Fast Signs offers more than signs and graphics. They're innovators, planners, and designers, and they're more than ready to help. For more information, visit their Harbison location or call 803-781-2229 or online at fastsigns.com/192.
Looking to get away without having to spend a whole day traveling to your destination? Ocean Reef Resort offers 1, 2, 3, and 4-bedroom accommodations with the comforts of home and boasts the best oceanfront views. Swim in their sparkling indoor and outdoor pools, relax in their hot tubs, try out the Adventure Oasis pool with adult-sized water slide, or just float down the 250-foot lazy river. Visit us at oceanreefmyrtlebeach.com or call us at 1-866-935-0530 to learn more.
Our military service members volunteer to protect us in the most dangerous places around the world. They step up. And when they are severely ill or injured, returning to their families is only the beginning of their long road home. Beyond all the hospitals and doctors and surgeries they need just to survive, they also deserve whatever they need to truly live. All the in-home care and day-to-day help they need to live independently, on their own terms. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs were established to provide these brave men and women whatever they need to continue their fight for independence, at no cost, for life. So many of them need us, and it's time for a grateful nation to step up. Find out how you can do your part at findwwp.org.
From the TrueCar.com studios, the new way to buy a car. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400, WCOS Columbia. Available anywhere you go on the iHeart Radio app. Download it now.
Fox Sports trending now.
About 10 minutes away from tip, and the Sweet 16 will be underway in the NCAA men's college basketball tournament. Oregon against Michigan, the first game tonight from Kansas City. Michigan won 7 straight. As of early February, the Wolverines' record was 14-9, 4-6 in conference play. Since then, they're 12-2. Oregon started the season 2-2. Since then, 29-3. Oregon did lose the Pac-12 final to Arizona. The Wildcats, 2 seed in the West, have the late game in San Jose tonight after 10 p.m. Eastern. It'll be Arizona against 11 seed Xavier. With a couple of wins tonight, Arizona could be rematching against Gonzaga next round. Zags defeated Arizona in L.A. in December. With TrueCar, you can find out what other people in your area paid for the same car that you're looking for, new or used. Visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Match play golf wins for Sergio Garcia and Phil Mickelson.
It's time for Clemson Sports Talk with Lawton Swan.
Ready, set, just call me Swanee.
Tigers time. Tigers time.
It is hour number 2. That's prime time right here on Fox Sports Radio and iHeart Radio. Lawton Swan, no Lowell the intern. Where in the world is Lowell the intern? He is out and about in his new tennis league, taking over the town. So look out, world tennis rankings. Lowell the intern should be climbing that ladder to a television near you real soon. Well, he's the only man in my phone book with a Q, so it's pretty easy to find. He is William Qualkenbush. We're getting him on the line right now, and we're going to get his thoughts on a little bit of everything. Clemson Tiger baseball. We're going to talk with him about the Clemson Tiger basketball team. We'll probably talk a little Final Four with him, so we wanted to go about 20 minutes with Qualk tonight to talk about all of that. Of course, he does a spectacular job up on 105.5 The Roar in the upstate. William Qualkenbush here on Clemson Sports Talk tonight. Follow him on Twitter at Qualk Talk, and he writes the Qualk Talk blog for the Clemson Insider. Qualk, man, good to have you back on the program.
Swanee, always good to be with you, my friend, especially this time of year where Clemson's winning a bunch of sporting events. That's always nice.
Well, yeah, there's baseball doing that. Basketball, I wouldn't say exactly was spectacular down the stretch. And then you had the entire, I don't know what you call the job situation with Brad Brownell, but I do want to begin with that tonight. Just your front, you're right there in Tiger Town. You're a guy who probably shoots a little hoops from time to time with guys like Brad Brownell and Philip Sykes and other guys around the program. Your thoughts on how things shook out here over the past week or so in Clemson?
Well, a couple things. First of all, I've never seen a story unfold with bits of information that were hard to contextualize like this. For instance, when we found out there was a meeting of the minds on campus, you don't know if that means they're drawing up a new contract with new terms, if they're trying to meet with somebody else's representatives, if there's some unrelated thing going on. It was just hard to put everything together. And some of the ways that people interpreted some of the tea leaves, reading the tea leaves, so to speak, was a little bit suspect. And so you got a bunch of weird reporting on this, where you got Will Wade making contact, I believe, based on what I've been told, and some of the really good reporting. I'm going to stand by my guy, Will Vandervoort. He was all over this thing from the beginning, was right there in the thick of it. I think he did the best job of reporting this just personally from start to finish. Was out there, waited on the meeting with Dan Radakovich and Brad Brownell for 2.5 hours in the parking lot, talked with Brad after that. I mean, he was on the ground, and he said from the beginning he didn't feel like there was going to be a change made. So all this stuff with Will Wade, I think it was coming from representatives. I think it was one of those things that happens in coaching searches where agents try to get their candidate a raise somewhere or trying to posture a little bit. But when Dan Radakovich says he didn't have any contact with Will Wade, I believe that. I think that makes sense. And then, from the other perspective, I really believe this is how Dan Radakovich operates. Remember, he did the same thing with Jack Leggett, had kind of a this is what you need to do meeting before that final season. We've found out he did the same thing with Audra Smith, women's basketball. He's done it with other coaches in the past. This is what you need to do for your last season. And I think he did the same thing with Brad Brownell. So, it ends up being really par for the course. Nothing changed. And so it was it ended up being much ado about nothing. But I do think it was important because it taught me some things being in it about how to properly contextualize information, how to do a better job of that. So I feel like if nobody else got better, I got better at this one.
It was a strange story, that's for sure. And then you had the situation, as you mentioned, with Will Wade, who was the head coach at VCU, now the head coach at LSU, and the story kind of came out that maybe Will Wade tried to use Clemson as leverage to up his pay that he would get eventually from LSU. I would say this, whether the Brad Brownell Will Wade thing, take that out of the picture for a minute. Do you buy into the thought process that Will Wade felt like Clemson was like a mid-major job and there was no real upside to being at Clemson? I mean, this is a guy who ultimately was an assistant coach at Clemson, or a part of the staff, I should say, and then, again, a Clemson graduate. I find that hard to believe that anybody who kind of has roots back to Clemson the way you do, the way I do, would ever feel like that's a mid-major.
I will say this. When I heard those things, it did not shock me because I've been told that before. When he first got the job at VCU, everybody, when he started doing the good job at Chattanooga, so we're talking 2 or 3 years ago, I was told that Wade did feel that Clemson was an inferior job, that there were some budgetary concerns that he had, some things that Clemson had done institutionally, administratively with the program over time and in the time that he'd been there that made it hard for Clemson to compete in the league like the ACC. And as tough as it became with expansion, I think he felt like it was even more non-competitive just from an administrative support standpoint. Now, we know some of those concerns have been addressed, and so I didn't think it was that relevant. I don't know. I've not heard for sure if Will Wade thinks that today. I can tell you that he's thought that in the past. I would hope that some of the strides that Clemson's made with a new building and some of the other things that they've done to help support the program financially and really some of the things that they've given lip service to in the past that they've actually physically done with recruiting budget and things like that, that it is a better job. So I would say I'm not sure that I buy that right now, but I understand the frustrations of Clemson fans who thought Will Wade was going to be the white knight coming in to save the day, and it turns out he may have really used and abused the fan base, and toyed with the emotions of people. I understand the frustration there. I would say keep an open mind with Will Wade because we're not sure 100% whether or not that happened just based on my information. And there may come a time where Will Wade is a candidate, and I don't think we need to assume that Will Wade is persona non grata here, at least among fans, if and when his name comes up at an appropriate time.
William Qualkenbush here on the program at Qualk Talk. I will say I don't know that he had done enough anyway. I don't know that he had done enough for me to prove himself. But then, of course, yesterday he was on with Paul Feinbaum, and I don't know if you heard he had some comments about the real Death Valley or something to that regard, maybe taking a little shot at Clemson's Death Valley. So, I don't know. I think that, my parents used to say something when I spent the night out with people quite a bit, that you wear out your welcome. It feels like Will Wade might be wearing out his welcome a little bit already before he even had a chance to be at Clemson.
Well, a couple things. First of all, I think you say what you got to say in your job. And so, like I said, I'm going to take Will Wade's side on this. I think if he was donning the orange and purple, he'd say the real Death Valley somewhere else. I think over a period of time, I think that stuff goes away. But I agree, it was a little bit frustrating to hear that from a Clemson alum. But I'll also say this, from the standpoint of what has he done. He's asking for $2.8 million. Let's just say Clemson was going to pull the trigger on Brad Brownell. Clemson, even if it's serious about basketball, isn't the kind of place where you spend $4 million to pay coaches over the course of 3 seasons. You're just not going to do it, especially for a guy who took over 2 healthy programs and in 2 seasons accomplished about what you expected those places. I agree that that's a big question with him. Can he build a program where one doesn't exist? He hasn't done it yet. So to pay $2.8 million for that when a guy's still in his mid-30s, I think there's some wisdom in not paying him that sum of money. And I think LSU is in a more desperate situation than Clemson is, certainly, and felt it was wise to pull the trigger before somebody else did. There certainly could be some buyer's remorse on that if it doesn't work out down the line. I think that's the risk that LSU took.
Qual, it is interesting that South Carolina now in the Sweet 16, they were a program that hadn't won an NCAA tournament game in 40-plus years before the victory over Marquette and then ultimately breaking up the brackets across America, knocking out Duke. But Clemson hasn't been to the Sweet 16 now in 20 years, so I sit here today and kind of think about that for a minute and recognize how far maybe Clemson basketball has really fallen from when I was an undergrad at Clemson back from about 1995 to, say, 2002.
You know what? It's interesting. One Sweet 16 appearance, which, that's what Clemson had under Rick Barnes. They didn't get there multiple times. They got there once. And then, a couple nice runs in there, back in, 1980 or something where they went to the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
That in spots in Clemson's history, they've been able to do that. Kelly, I got to give my broadcast partner credit on this. She looked it up. Of the 16 teams that made the Sweet 16 last year, which we think that's a big accomplishment and it establishes your program, 4 of the 16 aren't even in the tournament field this year. So I don't think it's necessarily an indicator of the health of your program. I think you could just get hot in the right time.
Yeah.
If you remember Mark Gottfried's program, which I would say wasn't healthy at all, went to 2 Sweet 16s in the 6 years he was at NC State, and I think he deserved to be fired. So I think we can't put too much stock into it, but I will say I think Frank Martin is building something to last in Columbia, and I think Clemson certainly could. I don't think Clemson's that far away, though. I really don't. They need some breaks next year. I think they could be worse, Wani. We can talk about this another time. I think they could be worse next year and win more games and get to the tournament and make a little run with the pieces they have coming back.
Qual, inquiring minds want to know, when did you exactly when did you start having to lean on Kelly so heavily to really keep your program afloat there at CCP?
I would say day 1, hour 1, minute 1, second 1, and right to now.
Hey, man, listen.
It has been a constant thing.
Listen, I'll tell you, she's great. She's a good addition, and it's good to have a female voice in radio. So I know that the people up there in the upstate are enjoying what she's doing alongside of you with your program. You guys have been a great combination. But William Quagga here on Clemson Sports Talk tonight. All right, Quagga, again, we'll stay with the coaching team for a second. You know this carousel. This is not like the carousel at the zoo or the state fair that ends in about a minute and 30 seconds. I mean, this thing rides out for a while, and you saw today John Thompson III's out at Georgetown. That means pieces are going to move around the country. Coaches are going to shift around. Do you think that maybe Dan Radakovich could have had an option out there if he just waited and said, you know what, Brad, we're going to see how things play out across the country before we finalize this thing? Or was there concern that maybe Brad Brownell looks out there and says, oh, you know what, UNC Wilmington was available at one point. Maybe we can slide back to a place where we came from. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem like the turnover is done. And maybe there's a great name or a great person that comes available that otherwise you thought was pretty solid where they are.
Well, Tom Crean is out there. That was a name that some people threw out there, but he's going to be really expensive wherever he goes. The drop-off between what Clemson's willing to pay and what he was getting at Indiana is just enormous. So that's one that comes to mind. I mean, Pat Kelsey, you saw him. He may be posturing for maybe a Xavier or something like that, or, reneging on his deal to go up to UMass and come back to Winthrop. We saw that just a couple hours ago. I think maybe that's a theory out there. I do believe, based on the way this played out, that it played out exactly as Dan Radakovich's other coaching situations, we'll call them, have played out. So from that standpoint, I think he did what he always does. He kind of let the coach know the year before, hey, we're seeing some troubling things. You need to make changes. We've got expectations of this, this, and this. And so we'll see how it plays out, if Brad Brownell makes some staff changes, if there's something else that goes on in the next little bit. But I do think that he didn't go into this thinking, I'm going to get rid of Brad Brownell if a better option's available. I think he legitimately wanted Brad to remain the basketball coach.
You know, you mentioned the staff changes. One of the things that I talked about here on the program earlier this week, and I hadn't had a chance to listen to you every single day, so I can't tell you what you've said, but I also thought about when Clemson brought in Chad Morris as an offensive mind or whatever you want to call him, it was kind of gimmicky, right? It was a hurry-up, no huddle. We were going to try to speed the pace of the game up. And I look at the success that you've seen in the NBA with a team like the Golden State Warriors, and I think to myself, why not go out, offer every great three-point shooter that's around, out there and say, hey, we want you to come in. We're going to spread the court. We're going to shoot a ton of threes. This is who we're going to be. And, try to bring the Golden State mentality to the college game.
I think it would work. I actually think in terms of just flat-out three-point shooting, if you look back at what Oliver Purnell did well, I think he surrounded his point guard, DeMonte Stitt, and his bigs, the Trevor Bookers and the Jere Grants, with really good shooters like K.C. Rivers and Terrence Oglesby and those guys.
Yeah.
I think those guys, that's what you're talking about, more so than the kind of guys Brad Brownell wants. I think it was a misconception that Brad Brownell was going to recruit guys from, like, the Sticks, Indiana, to come in and shoot 50% from three. I think he likes having athletes to run his defensive system and to be able to do some things on that end of the floor. And he doesn't play, as Gabe DeVoe, he doesn't play a lot of guys that shoot it maybe a little bit better, but don't do well on that end of the floor. Marquise Reeves in the doghouse like that a little bit this year. So I would agree with you. I don't think Brad Brownell is willing to sacrifice some of the athleticism on the defensive end, though, just to put some shooters on the floor, a la Maverick Rowan, Tyler Lewis, some of the guys from Butler, some of the guys from Duke even that we've seen that don't guard very well but can shoot the lights out. I just don't think that's in his personal DNA.
Well, and my concern would be to not have that in your DNA. I don't know that in 7 years now we've seen something in this DNA that makes you go, you know what, they can build a winner or the fans are going to have fun. I think the fans want to see fun. I think the fans want to see up and down the floor. They want to see guys popping threes from nearly mid-court occasionally like you see from Steph Curry. And I know Steph Curry's not the norm. He's clearly the exception in his ability to score and shoot the ball from way downtown. But I think there's something to what – if you think back, okay, prior to Golden State making their run, Qualk, I think the thing we'll all recognize is nobody was paying attention to Golden State. They were okay, but they were just another okay team. Once they started really spreading the ball around, shooting a bunch of threes, and just kind of changing the NBA and maybe basketball in general, that's when the interest came, and that's when people started watching. Don't you think Clemson, if they could get that interest, they could capitalize on it and then maybe build a more stable program because people would go, you know what, I want to go play for that coach because they look like they're having fun.
You know, it's interesting that you bring that up. I think a combination of what we've seen the first part of the Brad Brownell era and really last year is what Clemson fans want. Because if you look at this year, I think it was a very entertaining brand of basketball. A lot of the games felt like NBA games because they were up and down. There wasn't a lot of, deep in the shot clock possessions, a lot of quick shooting. The games with Wake Forest, the game with North Carolina comes to mind.
Yeah.
I mean, they just had more of a pro feel that was more of an entertainment value feel. The problem is that they weren't guarding very well, and I think to Clemson's casual basketball fan, that is a frustration. That the reason Rick Barnes is so successful, you know this, is because they were gritty and grinding, and they just beat teams to a pulp. I think that's what people liked about Oliver Purnell's teams. They were athletes. They were flying around. They knew who they were. They had their identity. And even with the frustrations in the tournament and offensively, they still knew what the identity was, and it was something they liked because it came on the defensive end. The fact that this team had no defensive identity, that it just never really bought into what Brad Brownell was teaching, is a problem. I think if this team played offensively like they have and played defensively kind of sort of near what they did in years past, that fans would have flocked to this team, and honestly, they would have won more games. So we'll see if they make some changes in that direction next year. I think offensively they're good to go, but defensively is where I have some questions.
Qualk, we've only got about a minute and a half. I want to switch gears a little bit towards the baseball program because you've been on the call so many nights, and 7th, 8th, 9th inning, the final 6, 7, 8 outs of the game have been incredible for Clemson, and it is such a shift from what I saw at the end of Jack Leggett's career. Just your thoughts on this Clemson Tiger baseball team, and from what you've seen, are they Omaha capable?
Absolutely they are. They had 3 straight quality starts against Virginia, a very good team who knows their identity certainly. They only did that twice last year. It was in sweeps. They've already done it once this year. All 3 starts on the weekend quality starts. They've got Tyler Jackson, a 4-starter that's phenomenal. They've got bullpen options when they're healthy that are tremendous. and they've got 12 or 13 guys they can put in their lineup at all times, and they are a confident bunch in the field, at the plate. And those last 9 outs, let me tell you something. Virginia outscored them 6-0 the first 2 games of that series. They split. They did it a different way, and then they demolished Virginia in the last 9 outs. They demolished Cobb Charleston in the last 9 outs the next time out. This team, based on how they're doing in the first 3 innings, based on how they're playing the last 3 innings, is capable of beating anybody in any game, anytime, and that's a team that you want to ride all the way to Omaha. And I really think, unless some major injury strikes, that may be where they're headed this year. They are that good. Nothing at all to be concerned about there.
Man, I know Clemson Tiger fans would love to see that. They are ranked number 6 in the polls right now. Qualt, hey, man, be good. Enjoy your time here on Clemson Sports Talk, as we always do, and look forward to having you back on next week.
Swanee, always fun to visit with you, my friend. Keep being awesome.
On Twitter, at Qualt Talk. You go out and follow that man right now. Stay with us here on Fox Sports Radio and iHeart Radio.
Does your water have a bad taste and odor, high content of chlorine and chemicals, and hardness? Then call the plumbing pros at Metz Plumbing for a free water analysis. Metz Plumbing is the exclusive dealer for Connecticut Water Systems, the best drinking water system in the world.
732-PREP.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
You gonna eat your cornbread? Oh, absolutely. But you don't have to have any of my cornbread, but you can get all the cornbread you can eat at this year's South Carolina's famous Cornbread Fest, with events like the Cornhole Tournament, the Petting Zoo, the Car and Bike Show, with more to come. And it's all hosted by me, your man, comedian Timmy Tim. It's happening April 22nd at Earlwood Park.
You're listening to Clemson Sports Talk with my dad, Lawton Swan, on Fox Sports Radio 1400 and on the iHeart Radio app.
Oh, yeah, Clemson Sports Talk here, Fox Sports Radio 1400. Again, the NCAA tournament back at it. We will keep you updated, no doubt, here. But we appreciate William Qualgenbush for being a part of the program and his insight into the basketball program, again, with Clemson head coach Brad Brownell. Again, you know, I've been a proponent for change at Clemson. It just feels like this is going to be – there's a bit of a disconnect. But, you know, Dan Radakovich, to his credit, I will at least say he lays it out there, and he lets the coaches know where they stand, and he gives them a year to prove themselves. So Brad Brownell will know. He will know, and you will know next year about this team. Now, in the NCAA tournament, I've got Michigan over Oregon right now. The Wolverines, the 7 seed, are up 11-8 with about 12 minutes and 45 seconds remaining in the first half of action. And again, part of the reason that I'm going with the Wolverines is a little bit more tournament history for Michigan, and also the fact that the Wolverines have kind of played a little bit out of their minds since they had the incident on the runway flying to the Big Ten tournament. And there's something about this group right now. They just seem to be playing without the pressure of the NCAA tournament that so many other schools have. Again, Oregon, the 3 seed, Michigan, the 7 seed, again, coming up at 7:39, just about 16 minutes out from the 1 seed Gonzaga, taking on the 4 seed West Virginia. And again, I'm taking West Virginia. So I've got a couple of upsets a brewing tonight. That's where I'm at. I've got Michigan and I've got West Virginia. Again, later tonight I got Kansas pulling away from Purdue, and I've got Arizona taking care of Xavier. Then you also flip over to the matchups tomorrow night, and I didn't even touch on these yesterday, so I feel compelled to get into them right now. North Carolina, the 1 seed, taking on the Butler Bulldogs. That's a 7-9 start at FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. Butler, they've been around the block. Nobody's going to be surprised again if the Butler does it, but I think it is North Carolina that comes away with that one, and they'll get the winner of the Kentucky-UCLA game, while Kentucky, I think, has been, over the past few years at least, with what John Calipari's had to deal with in terms of transitioning guys from the collegiate ranks to the professional ranks and trying to bring in fresh new talent. Today I went back through some of the recruiting rankings. I was comparing Clemson's roster to South Carolina's roster in terms of recruiting numbers, and oddly enough, Clemson, if you look at the top 8 players, had a better average than South Carolina. I may have said North Carolina a minute ago. I meant to say South Carolina, but they had a better ranking average than South Carolina. But get this. You go and look at Duke. You go and look at North Carolina, and you're getting guys that are ranked at, 99.6. I mean, just incredibly gifted and talented players, many of which you'll go, I never even heard of that guy. Did he even play? Is he still on the squad? What happened to him? He was a .987 out of high school, which would be higher, I think, than anybody Clemson has and everybody that South Carolina has right now except for Dozier. So these teams like Kentucky, like North Carolina, like Duke, recruit at such an incredible level that it's got to be hard to build any continuity. And I think that continuity has hurt in some respects from the fans watching the games. You knew Leitner. You saw him play. I mean, you knew these guys because they stuck around for a long time. Instead, now, this one-and-done deal has taken some of that away. But UCLA, for me, the 3 seed, again, we've mentioned Lonzo Ball. If you watch him, he's a catalyst. He's a spark. He's a guy who can absolutely take over a game in a multitude of ways and makes everybody around him better. Very few players in the NCAA tournament add that to their team. I'll take UCLA in a slight upset over Kentucky, and I got North Carolina over Butler. Then in the East region, Baylor taking on South Carolina. Gamecock Nation, I know I'm the host of the show that shakes the Southland. I'm supposed to count you out. I'm supposed to dish you to the side from the NCAA tournament. But I'm going to say this to the Gamecock listeners of this program. If you continue to play defensively the way you have in the first 2 games of the NCAA tournament, if Sindarius Thornwell takes over like he has when the South Carolina Gamecocks have needed him, I think you've got a tremendous basketball team this year that is got a great draw as well. I'll throw that into the mix. I think Baylor wins tomorrow night, but I think South Carolina fights them tooth and nail. And Gamecock Nation, you should be proud of where you are right now because being in the Sweet 16 is not an easy place to get. And then finally, Florida and Wisconsin, the Badgers at the 8 seed. I've talked about their defense here several times with you over the past 24, 48 hours, and that's exactly who they are. That has always been their identity. So keep your eyes out for them. But Nigel Hayes may be one of the best or the most skilled big men remaining right now in the NCAA tournament, and you think about his ability to score with his back to the basket and make plays in the low post. They are going to be a tough out. Wisconsin reminds me of what I see every time I watch the Spurs for so many years in the NBA. I looked at them. I thought they are not better than the teams they're about to play, and then somehow they went out defensively. They grind you. They pound you in the post, and the next thing you know, you're behind. Wisconsin, I think, can beat Florida. I really think they can beat Florida tomorrow night. And so I think the winner of that South Carolina-Baylor matchup, which I think is going to be Baylor, I think they're going to get Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's going to knock off the Gators. So Gamecocks, listen. If you win tomorrow, I think you got a date with the 8 seed. I think you're the higher seed for the right to go to the Final Four. I don't think you're going to win tomorrow, but if you do, I think Wisconsin wins tomorrow night. So there you go. Quick look at it. Again, Michigan and Oregon underway right now, and other matchups set to begin in just a few minutes. 803-978-1832. If you want to be a part of the show, join us. We will head out to the text line right now, though, or to the phone lines right now. Caller, welcome in.
Hello, Clemson O-line.
O-line. This is a big, big weekend for your Gamecocks.
Hey, you want to put the money on that game tomorrow?
No, I don't. I work in radio. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have a ton of cash on me.
Well, you put radio money on it, man. Hey, I think they'll take them. I think they'll go on in advance. So, anyway.
Listen. I'm not going to tell you they're not going to. It was a tough pick for me. I'll be honest. I picked a lot of upsets though, and I felt like I can't pick all upsets. So South Carolina, unfortunately for me, maybe it's because I'm a Clemson graduate, they ended up being the sacrificial underdog that I had losing.
I can understand that. Hey, Clemson time talking about a miscellaneous championships and stuff. I think what a lot of people don't understand is Ray Tanner doesn't just want a national championship in football. Ray Tanner wants a national championship in every sport, every year. So you got them in equestrian, you got them in bass fishing, you got them in, I'm frying cube steak and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
You got them in baseball. You're pushing it in basketball, and I guarantee you he's pushing it, and so is much in football. So it's not just, hey, we want the national championship. We want them in everything. And as far as Watson versus Whitehurst, Whitehurst, I think, is got the backup mentality, always has. He was a great quarterback as far as his ability to play at college and in college, and his skills were good. Watson has I'm not going to finish until I'm going to start. I'm not going to finish until I win. I'm not going to finish until I'm the best. So, yeah, I would agree with you 100% that there's no way if I was a GM that I would pass on Watson, because I think he's got all the tools. I think he's got the mental capacity to be a great NFL quarterback.
O-line, appreciate the phone call. Thank you for peeing over the fence at Clemson Sports Talk. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Business owners, have you had to let your last couple of sales hires go because they were not making quota year one? Want to add high-quality staff members? ProRecruits.net is the answer. Here's why. ProRecruits.net will guarantee their sales hires for 6 months, or they will replace them for free. ProRecruits.net has lower pricing compared to the typical new hire contingency fees in the industry. ProRecruits.net offers a tremendous value for your recruiting dollars. Call 704-737-9970 and let ProRecruits.net help your business grow.
Warm weather means fleas, ticks, and mosquitoes, which can endanger your pets. Fleas and ticks can cause life-threatening disease, and mosquitoes transmit heartworms. There are some new, exciting, innovative treatments for the prevention of these parasites. Protect your pet. Consult your local authority, your neighborhood veterinarian. Brought to you by Midland's Veterinary Practice, where we care for the most valuable pets. Yours. Visit us at MidlandsVet.com on Facebook or Twitter. Call us at 750-7387, 750-PETS.
Do you want a pharmacy that treats you like a person and not just a number? Then let Craig and Lori at Southlake Drug show you what a pharmacy should be. Fast, friendly, and professional. Southlake Drug can transfer your prescriptions and take the hassle out of getting your medicine and getting you on your way. Southlake Drug takes all major insurance programs, including Medicare, Medicaid, and state employees, and they provide immunization services, including flu shots with no wait and no appointment. Southlake Drug, 1856 Southlake Drive in the Food Line Shopping Center, 399-7701, or southlakedrug.com.
Hi, I'm Alicia Kaufman Quinton. My daddy, Billy Kaufman, opened Kaufman's Meat Plant at our present location in 1955. My family still works hard every day to ensure fresh quality cuts of beef, pork, and poultry. How about a tasty T-bone, ribeye, or New York strip steak? But to order at Kaufman's Meat and Place. Just look for the signs near the intersection of US 1 and I-20 in Lexington. Call us at 356-0076 to place your order. Kaufman's Meeting Place, when you want the very best your money can buy.
Tonight, the skies will stay clear and the temperatures will fall down to low to mid-40s. Tomorrow, a lot of sunshine, pretty comfortable as well. The highs will top out in the low 70s. For Channel 25 ABC Columbia, I'm Chief Meteorologist John Farley.
This report is brought to you by Palmetto College.
Palmetto College offers the quality of the University of South Carolina online. Find out more about Palmetto College's degree completion options at palmettocollege.sc.edu.
With Palmetto College, my future has no limits.
Welcome back to Clemson Sports Talk, your iHeart Radio home for the 2016 College Football National Champion, Clemson Tigers.
Weeknights, it is the show that shakes the Southland. I am Lawton Swan, and again, I appreciate you being a part of it. If you like our work, support our work, let me tell you how you can get behind us. Become a nickel backer here on Clemson Sports Talk. What does that mean for you? That means you can step into the arena and support us just a nickel a day. We do about 20 shows a month. And again, you head over to our website, clemsonsportstalk.com, and you say, you know what? I want to be a part of the grassroots movement when I think of the grassroots movement, because when I think of this show, I'll tell you, it was just a whim, a dream. You know, I lived in Columbia. I thought to myself, man, you know what, Clemson Tiger fans, we need a show. We need a voice, and podcasting was taking off, so we did it. And thanks to you now, we've got so many loyal supporters over there. We've also got a ton of local businesses that stand behind us and people around the state who are a part of this show, and over 14,000, heading towards 15,000 quickly, followers on Twitter. So thank each and every one of you for being a part of this and making a dream of mine a reality, and we hope to continue to be here for you for the long haul in the Midlands. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. The hashtag on Twitter is CST Show, and you can follow the program at Clemson Sports. That's Clemson news, notes, information, and more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And got my good buddy Mac listening to the program tonight as him and his dad are making their way down to the big city of Charleston, South Carolina. So I hope you guys have a safe trip down there. Mac, hope you're doing well, buddy. And I told your dad we got to get you in the studio one day, so head on over here and have fun with us. Always love getting a chance to talk with a lot of the younger Clemson Tiger fans because they give you the great insight, right? And they give you the great insight into what it's like to be a kid. Because I remember being in the backyard and pretending I was Stacy Driver or Kenny Flowers, and I was rushing the football. And, man, I was going to be the next William Perry on the defensive line for the Clemson Tigers. And, you know, when I think back to some of those years that I was a kid, Clemson was good, but they weren't what they are today. And I can only imagine what it's like to step out there on the playground or get in the backyard, and now, hey, Dad, you be Deshaun Watson. I'm going to be Mike Williams out here. I'm going to go up and take the ball down. And you know, Mike Williams put out an interesting tweet several years ago, and Lowell, the intern, retweeted it. And I can't remember if I mentioned it here on the air yet or not, but Mike Williams, when Clemson had some decommitments, his incoming class, the year that he was coming into Clemson, Mike Williams tweeted out, it's a spectacular tweet from a guy who, I don't know at the time if anybody knew exactly what he would become in terms of the dominant wide receiver that he was at the end of his career and really throughout his career. And maybe some of that was the fact that he got to play alongside Deshaun Watson. But Mike Williams tweeted out, hey, something to the effect of, Tiger fans, don't worry about the decommits. You still have Mike Williams. And anybody who calls himself Mike Williams, that's outstanding. So thank you, Mike Williams, for reminding me just one of the reasons that we loved having you be a part of the Clemson Tiger family. Our chat room's open over on our website, clemsonsportstalk.com. And again, you've got NCAA action. The March Madness is upon us again, the Sweet 16 already underway. And as you know, if you follow along here, I've got Michigan knocking off Oregon tonight. The Wolverines right now up 18-16, but that is, again, not the only matchup that is going to be going on this evening, as we've got 4 on the docket for you and set to begin here in just a few minutes, I think. Let's see, 7:39. So, yeah, should be tipping off right now. You get Gonzaga and West Virginia. That's the 7:39 tip-off. 9:39, 2 hours from now, Kansas, the Jayhawks, the 1 seed, they'll take on the Purdue Boilermakers, and Purdue is the 4 seed. And then finally, 10:09, Arizona, the 2 seed, the Wildcats will take on Xavier, the 11 seed. Xavier, Butler, those teams in the Sweet 16, it seems like consistently over the past few years, and that speaks volumes about the fact that I think you can go out, recruit players who don't have to be, quote, ACC caliber, Duke or North Carolina caliber, but they can absolutely get you into the NCAA tournament. And as William Qualkenbush mentioned when we talked with him just a few moments ago about my concept, my idea of being kind of gimmicky. If you could go out and just get those shooters and say, this is what we're going to do, this is who we're going to be. We're going to lay it all on the line with a 3-point barrage. We might lose some games because we're not the biggest or the best on the interior, but we're going to be a team, when they score, we're going to push the ball and try to take advantage of that 3-to-2 ratio that you get at the 3-point line, and just believe that even if you get pounded on the inside, if you give up 20 buckets on the inside, that's 40 points, okay? But if you score 14 from the outside, you're up by 2. And play this game just wide open, open the floor, pop shots from D. Give me some more Terrence Oglesby for 3, please. That's what I like. And while the fast-paced and frenetic press that we saw under Oliver Purnell obviously worked, and it got you to the NCAA tournament, maybe you were worn down, and maybe that's why we didn't see Clemson have success in the NCAAs. Maybe it was the talent thing, too, that you just played better teams in the opening round and weren't quite cut out for maybe postseason play because you didn't have the depth or whatever the circumstances were. But maybe you get 6 or 8 shooters and you just go at this thing and open it up. That's kind of where I am, because I've really enjoyed watching the Golden State Warriors and the way they play the game. And while there have been a lot of people that have thought that was the worst thing that could have happened to basketball, I find it quite interesting. I find it quite compelling to watch 4 or 5 shooters on the floor who are willing to pass the ball, work it around, find an open man, give up layups for threes, and have, in a lot of respects, single-handedly changed the way we think of the NBA game. And so much so that you even see a team like the Cavaliers, who don't have to play that way, beginning to play that way because of the benefit of the deep ball. I don't know any other way to label it. It makes me think about a guy like Pistol Pete Maravich, who averaged, 40 points a game or some ridiculous number in college with no 3-point line. I think, what could that guy have been with a 3-point line? So all in all, I think that there is a great equalizer in basketball that can be exploited, and I think it is a reason that you see teams in the NCAA make runs like what Butler's made in the past, and others that can just flat out shoot the basketball. I would even give credit to Wichita State and VCU with their runs. One of the common factors that those teams had in the NCAA tournament were knockdown 3-point shooters who didn't care who they were facing. They didn't care if it was North Carolina or Kentucky or Duke or UCLA. They didn't care about the name on the chest of the other guy across from them, because they knew if they were standing at I don't know what the 3-point line is now collegiately, but let's say it's 23-6. If they're standing at 23-7, they had the muscle memory and repetition to knock down those shots left and right. Give me some of that. Give me a little bit of that. 803-978-1832. Final segment coming up here on the show that shakes the Southland. Follow the show on Twitter at Clemson Sports. And again, I am out tomorrow, headed to Charleston. Lowell the intern, Jordan Roper holding down the fort for you here on Fox Sports Radio and iHeart Radio. Stay with us.
Love it raw? For the freshest sushi in town, Sakatumi Grill and Sushi Bar, 807 Gervais Street in the Vista. Sakatumi's flavorful grill for non-sushi fans features the Kobe burger, filet and lobster, chicken hibachi, and more. Fresh sushi, flavorful grill, Sakatumi Grill and Sushi Bar, sakifresh.com.
You have a need for a plumber, you need it fast, and you need it done right. If you're dealing with busted pipes, maybe you need your toilet repaired or you're battling a clogged drain, break free from average service and experience the best with Freedom Plumbing. Call James Carwell and the staff at Freedom Plumbing to get the job done fast, on time, and most importantly, right the first time. Freedom Plumbing, your local 24-hour plumber. Call 803-447-0471 or online at freedom-plumbing.com.
For 28 years, the professional staff of the Hobbs Group and Hobbs Group Advisors has been dedicated to helping others achieve their financial goals by delivering quality, objective financial and accounting solutions to a diverse client base of individuals and businesses all over South Carolina. We offer tax and audit services, bookkeeping, payroll, litigation support, employee benefits, personal financial planning, investment management, and insurance services. Please call us at 803-799-0555 or visit our website, hobbscpa.com, to learn more about our people and services.
Need custom shirts, hats, or uniforms? How about promotional giveaways for your business or organization? Need fast turnaround times? Look no further than Meridian Printing and Promotions. Located in Lexington, they provide an in-house art department, in-house screen printing, and in-house embroidery services to the Midlands and beyond. For the absolute best quality products and services, contact Meridian Printing and Promotions, 785-4990. Check them out online, mbspromo.com.
For more information about contests on this station, go to foxsportsradio1400.com/rules.
Follow Clemson Sports Talk on Twitter at Clemson Sports. Now more of Clemson Sports Talk. Take it away, Dad.
What have you done for me lately? It's a fair question. Just don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Don't forget history. Lucky for us at Clemson, the answer to the questions, what have you done for me lately, and what have you done always, are the same. We win.
Weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m., Fox Sports Radio, iHeart Radio, live on ClemsonSportsTalk.com. If you just got to watch, that's fine. You can. And, ooh, don't I look nice tonight with the fresh shaved dome? Yeah, I worked that out today. While the wife's away, the cat will play, and occasionally he'll bust out the clippers and do his hair so that she doesn't fuss at me. Now, I do get fussed at about the residual hair that gets left behind in the sink area. I'm imagining the majority of you guys understand where I'm coming from on that front. At least, I mean, you might be clean-shaven and bald, and that's all well, too. That's fine, too. But you know how it is when you leave behind a little, the shave clippings. Ladies, you know what we're talking about. We try to clean it up, but let's face it, at the end of the day, we're still guys. We still have a college dorm mentality. We do our best. We're trainable, I think. The majority of us are. In some respects, but yeah. So I'm feeling the flow right now watching the show. So I hope you're enjoying it. Maybe you're watching on your smart TV or your computer at home, maybe even your tablet or phone. Michigan, Oregon, 24 all knotted up. Gonzaga leading West Virginia right now 10-6. That game's on TBS. CBS is the station you want to tune in to watch Oregon and Michigan tonight. CBS at 9:30. It'll be Kansas and Purdue. 10:09, it'll be Xavier and Arizona. So 4 games tonight, 4 tomorrow, and the Gamecocks, again, still dancing into the Sweet 16, both the women and the men in the Sweet 16. But the stat of all stats, the stat du jour or of the week, whatever you want to call it, I still think is the one that we mentioned yesterday about UConn women's basketball. 24 years, ladies and gentlemen. 24 years without losing consecutive games. That's what we like to label successful. You know what I mean? Like, that's getting it done. You think Alabama's been dominant in college football? Yeah, they've been pretty good. They hadn't been Connecticut women's basketball good. You think UCLA was good under John Wooden back in the day? Yeah, not exactly what I would call Connecticut basketball good. 24 years not losing consecutive basketball games. And let that soak in, ladies and gentlemen. Can you imagine a run like that in any sport? I mean, honestly, in any sport, I don't care what it is. You give me a run of the Clemson Connect 4 team. What a great game, by the way, Connect 4 is. Give me the Clemson Connect 4 team with a 24-year streak of not losing back-to-back tournaments, and I'm going to tell you what, that's a special Connect 4 streak right there. 803-978-1832. The hashtag on Twitter, CST Show. You can follow us at Clemson Sports. Dabo Swinney saying the other day that he'd fight like crap to protect the culture of his program that he's built at Clemson, and I love that. You know, I really think that that's one of the aspects of what Dabo Swinney has done at Clemson that maybe for some people outside of the 864, maybe some people outside of the veil of Clemson Tiger Nation haven't put their finger on, is that success piece that perhaps Clemson has had because of the type players that he's built, the culture that he's instituted, and the way that he's put this entire deal together. I know it's easy to say, look, man, you had Deshaun Watson, you're going to win a lot of games. Guess what? There are a lot of great football players out there that lack what it takes between their ears and the intestinal fortitude to stand up when your back's against the wall, when the chips are on the table. You use the cliche that you want to use to talk about being under duress. And I'll say that Deshaun Watson and the guys that this Clemson Tiger team has put out there on the field the past few years are as good as I've ever seen in pressure moments. You're down 8 against Louisville, you deliver. You're down 8 on the road against Florida State, you deliver. You're down to Alabama in the national championship with 2:07 to play. What do? You deliver. And all of that, I think, is just a byproduct of the type of athlete that they have recruited. As I have said, both Clemson and South Carolina here in the Midlands and the Tigers in the upstate have done a really good job recruiting athletes who do not get in a lot of trouble off the field. Now, that was not always the case for both schools, and that's just the cold, hard facts of the situation. Both schools, for several years, had issues, and issues still come up from time to time at both programs. But I can tell you for sure, 100%, I can't tell you about South Carolina at 100% because I'm just not as in tune with that program as some of you Gamecocks listening to this program. But I will tell you that when it comes down to disciplining players versus winning football games, Swinney will take disciplining every single day. And that sends me back to my point about Gino Auriemma in the 24-game winning streak. There was a great video that came out, I guess it was Sunday, from Gino Auriemma, the head coach at Connecticut. And he talked about the fact that girls who don't have the positive attitude or their body language aren't going to play. And he said there was a situation a few years back where he sat a star player and the media said, oh, you just sat her so she'd be fired up for that game against South Carolina. He said, no. I sat her because she was acting like a 12-year-old. I sat her because she wasn't doing what is necessary to be a part of this team. And Auriemma went on to say that he watches film of the game, every game. And most of you are like, yeah, no duh, Swan. He's won. he hadn't lost back-to-back games in 24 years. No duh. He watches film. Huh. But he's not watching it all the time to watch the play on the court. He watches film to watch the players off the court. And he said if you're on the bench and you don't have a positive attitude, if you're on the bench and if you're not focused and locked in on the game and you're not putting in what you need to be putting in, you won't play, period. And he said doesn't care if it costs him games. He's not interested in playing people who don't want to play or don't want to support and don't want to be a part of a bigger thing, be a part of the team. And I think in some respects, Brad Brownell's got to find a way to bring that culture to Clemson Tiger basketball. I mean, you can't have Avery Holmes come on the show and say that, hey, we had too many guys and there was an issue, not necessarily with playing time, but guys wanted to play to help the team win, but they couldn't figure it out. Maybe helping the team win on a Tuesday night means you go to the bench and you support because it's a better matchup for somebody else. But on Saturday, you got to put your feet in the fire. And that's admirable. To be able to have that kind of consistency from player to player across the board, and then for the Clemson Tiger football program to be where they are, considering the roller coaster ride that we all went on during the Tommy Bowden years. And I think Tommy would tell you the same thing. I mean, Tommy's a guest on this program every Thursday during the college football season. He would tell you the exact same thing. The roller coaster ride that he went on and took Clemson Tiger Nation on, I'm surprised that outside of Death Valley they didn't have the little measuring stick up. Sorry, son, you're too short for this ride. To be a Clemson Tiger fan, you gotta be 52 inches tall. Anybody shorter than that, you're too short for this ride. Because the fact of the matter is, that's what it was, right? Up and down, up and down. You beat Miami, you lose to Michigan. You knock off Florida State. Did I say Michigan? You beat Miami, you lose to Duke. You knock off Florida State, you lose to Boston College. I mean, that's what it was, this roller coaster of success and failure. And Sweeney started to build it pretty quickly, and it was evident. It was evident after year one where he took the Tigers to the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship game that Sweeney had what it took to put Clemson over the top. Could they win the national title? I didn't know that they could. I didn't think, a national title was a pipe dream. It was something that you hope for. I would always tell people, man, I just wish we could do that one more time in my life. Well, now they've done it. They've done it with class and character guys. And I think that's part of the reason that so many Clemson Tiger fans are so proud of the program and where they are today. And I, for one, don't see it falling off anytime soon because of the type player and the moxie that these guys have. Incredibly, another day has come to a close here on Clemson Sports Talk. Lowell, the intern, and Jordan Roper will be in studio for you tomorrow. Look at the time, 56 after 7. We got to get out of here. As always, y'all take care now. And go Tigers!
Our customers receive the best heating and air conditioning service in South Carolina. Hi, I'm Tim Mosley, and I can make that statement because that's what our customers tell us every day. We call it Quality Confirmed. Call us at 803-233-7172, and we'll call you when the job is done to confirm we met your expectations. That's Quality Confirmed. We're Carolina Conditions, and we're committed to meeting your expectations. 803-233-7172. Call us at 803-233-7172.
When a stroke happens, every second counts. So don't drive and call 911 to get to the emergency department as soon as possible. At Lexington Medical Center, we're pleased to serve our community. As a certified primary stroke center, our acute stroke team rapidly evaluates patients and provides them with the fastest treatment possible. This specialized care limits the chance of brain damage and gives stroke patients a better chance of full recovery. Act quickly at the first sign of a stroke and count on the Stroke Center at Lexington Medical Center to provide you with the best possible care.
Tiger fans, look no further than the Tiger Sports Shop in Clemson for all your game day gear. Since 1974, they've brought you everything Clemson for the Clemson fan, with quality brand names such as Nike, Under Armour, Antigua, Ping, and many more. From hats to t-shirts to tailgate, the Tiger Sports Shop has all the Clemson apparel a true Tiger fan needs. With 2 convenient game day locations in Tigertown, shop where I shop at I Am Ibrahim's Tiger Sports Shop. They fuel the passion of Tiger fans everywhere. Check them out online, tigersports.com.
Cottingham Family Dentistry is proud to announce the opening of their new office located at 3722 Devine Street, and they're welcoming new patients. What makes Cottingham Family Dentistry different? It's in the name, family. They will cater to your needs and the dental needs of your children. Cottingham Family Dentistry offers same-day crowns, dental implants, cosmetic dentistry, including whitening, veneers, and tooth-colored fillings, and many other dental services. If you're searching for an amazing dental home, call 776-4234 or stop by their new office at 3722 Devine Street and become a part of the family at Cottingham Family Dentistry.
Tiger fans, look no further than the Tiger Sports Shop in Clemson for all your game day gear. Since 1974, they've brought you everything Clemson for the Clemson fan, with quality brand names such as Nike, Under Armour, Antigua, Ping, and many more. From hats to t-shirts to tailgate, the Tiger Sports Shop has all the Clemson apparel a true Tiger fan needs. With 2 convenient game day locations in Tigertown, shop where I shop at I Am Ibrahim's Tiger Sports Shop. They fuel the passion of Tiger fans everywhere. Check them out online, tigersports.com.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or